Good morning, Genesis family. We're all standing. Let's sing our opening song.
In the spirit of celebration, we're grateful, we're grateful. In the spirits of life's perfection, we're grateful, we're grateful for the blessings already given. In the goodness of God we're living, in the finished kingdom of heaven, and all is well, all is well, all is well. In the spirit of celebration, we're grateful, we're grateful. In the brilliance of life's perfection, we're grateful, we're grateful for the blessings already given. In the goodness of God we're living, in the finished kingdom of heaven, and all is well, all is well, all is well, all is well, all is well.
Whew, thank you. Very centering. Brought everybody to their seats. You're grounded now. I'm really glad to see some familiar faces. Oh, it's fine. I'm going to sit right there. That I can have a conversation with on the side here, because we're all family. My name is Karen Williams, and I'm a spiritual practitioner here at Genesis Center for Spiritual Living. I'm going to be your host today. We have a special speaker today that I'll be introducing. Our online host is Eric. If you're watching on Facebook, please say hello to Eric. Create your own online community. Say hi, introduce yourself, and what's up with you. We want to know, so thanks. We read together every Sunday our mission and vision statements, so we're going to do that now. Our mission: we are building a vibrant community, cultivating a garden of spiritual growth, honoring vulnerability, creating a safe place of comfort and peace where all are welcome and accepted. Our vision: Genesis is a bright beacon with an unshakable heart of love accepting all. A home for the soul where we each creatively express our spiritual brilliance. And I hope that you see and experience that as you celebrate with us today. For our announcements, I don't need my glasses. My vision is perfect this morning. We have name tags available in the back here. Feel free to grab one at any time. We're still looking for greeters at the door as part of our volunteer welcome team, so please see Cynthia if you are interested in being of service in that way. We have an upcoming summer class, and it starts on June 11th. Prosperity Plus 3, Living Full Spectrum Wealth, and it's facilitated by Reverend James, and it's 7 weeks. The tuition is a $40 registration and a weekly tithe if you want to commit to that path, or it's a flat rate for the class of $220. Books must be ordered online in advance, so you need to register. Let us know that you're going to be doing that, and we can hook you up with that link to get your materials. and so that you can say yes to your highest vision. Are you interested in walking with Genesis CSL or with CSL as an organization in the Pride Parade? Genesis will be joining in with CSL Seattle on Saturday, June 29th from 12 to 4. Celebrate love, inclusion, and spiritual community. More info and sign up at the register desk over here. Oh, good, I'm right on time. Our visioning that we'll be doing is going to begin on June 5th. So join us for visioning with Genesis CSL from 7 to 8:30 p.m. If you're interested in that, that is taking place on Zoom. So you can connect, again, at our information table to get yourself signed up, to get that link if you haven't gotten it already. Yeah, if you have any questions about visioning, like, what is that? Please feel free to talk to Dave Pennick. He's going to be hosting that, co-facilitating with Cynthia. So thank you, both of you. Visioning is a very powerful experience for creating something new. Let me see, our book study is meeting today. And I can guarantee we're going to be completing this book. It has been fantastic, and we've been at it a while. And that's fine, because there's no timeline. We just sit down and we read. We read as far as we get, and we have the discussion that is necessary for us to have, and that's how we do it. So we will be completing this today. It's a fantastic little book. Then, starting next week, we're going to be reading together Edwin Gaines' The Four Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. So, right? I'm the only one excited. Prosperity, people. This is a good thing. It's all good, thank you. Our regular monthly events are listed at the welcome table, or you can find them at our website, genesiscsl.org/events. All right, that's it for our announcements. Now is the time for us to stand up. If you haven't yet greeted your neighbor, please take this opportunity to do that. Thanks, Todd. Greetings, neighbor.
Hello. Good to see you too.
There's a lot of love in this room. A lot of love. It's such a joy to me to experience you all, myself included, just being together and enjoying each other's company. It really is fantastic. I celebrate each and every one of you who are here. Thanks for being here. I'd like to take this time to thank everyone that's in service today. I'm going to start for the room. What's happening in the back is all our techie stuff. So we've got Mike, who's doing our PowerPoint, and we've got Eric, who's taking care of his. Yeah. Well, he's the online host. I hope I said that already.
And all the tech stuff behind it.
Right, and the thing that's on the wall and all those things that look techie, that's Eric. And then, of course, there's Jim, wise guy back there in the hat, who takes care of our sound. They are here first thing in the morning to make sure that everything is up and ready well before everybody gets here. So our musician, Tod Kimbro today, sounds good. Our offering collection today is going to be picked up by Gideon. And I'm your host. Everything else has been said. So we are grateful for those who do show up in service, those who put out these chairs, and Mike, who does our altar, which always looks lovely. We couldn't pull it all together without each and every one of you. If you'd like to join officially, we kind of are casual here. We just show up and we do what needs to be done. But if you want to officially be part of the team, please connect with Gideon after service. Fantastic. So this next part of our service is really where we open ourselves up and make ourselves available for the message today. So I'm going to begin with, or actually, Tod, we're all together going to begin by singing a song, Breathe and Turn Within, and then we're going to do a spiritual practice with the gong where we breathe together 3 times. I'll have an inspirational reading and then a prayer, and then Tod will have a song, and then we'll have our guest speaker. And I do not have any information on our speaker, except for to say, I'm looking, that we are very familiar, I think most of us, some of us are here especially for Michael Bogar, who is a scholar of all things spiritual and metaphysical, practical, lively. So we get to hear from Mike and talking about what is happening with our inner dialogue. So I know I look forward to that. So let's prepare. Let's prepare our inner space for that by singing together. Breathe and turn within. And from Rumi, this being human is a guest house. Every morning, a new arrival. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as an unexpected visitor. Welcome and entertain them all, even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house, empty of its furniture, still greet each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. And so with that, we'll pray. Recognizing that there's only this one thing happening, that life is an unfolding dynamic that is eternal and infinite. It is always happening. Everything, every thought, every movement, every experience is life expressing itself, offering itself, unfolding. And it is doing so as each individual uniquely. That each of us has a unique momentum and a unique rhythm and a unique experience that makes this life. And so I celebrate today the way that it expresses as myself, the way it expresses as Tod Kimbro, the way it expresses as our speaker today, Michael Bogar. I open myself up and allow this life to speak to me. The words are universal. The words speak to everyone, but I hear them, I receive them. Each of us receive them in a way that is unique to whatever it is that we need to express ourselves in this greater way, in this more wholesome way, in this more fulfilling and authentic and integral way. I give thanks for the way that life expresses itself as Genesis Center for Spiritual Living, that we have a place that we can come to and be together and do this all together. To have a question, to be in the question, to live the question, to live it out, and do it with comrades, with family, with friends. I give thanks for this. I know that the continuation of this service is just a continuation of this life, of this prayer, of all things good, true, and beautiful. And so it is. Please welcome back Tod Kimbro.
Let me pull up these lyrics. As many of you know, I actually take requests for a living, and today it worked out where I was able to take a request to do this particular song, which is very near and dear to me. Hello, is there anybody out there just not if you can hear me. Is there anyone at home? Come on now. Are you feeling down? Well, I can ease your pain, get you on your feet again. Relax. I need some information first, just the basic facts. Can you show me where it hurts? There is no pain you are receiving. The distant ships smoke summer horizon. You're only coming through in waves. Your lips move, but I can't hear what you say. I was a child, I had a fever. My hands swelled just like two balloons. Now I've got that feeling once again. I can't explain, you would not understand. This isn't how I am. I have become comfortably numb. Okay, just a little pinprick. There'll be no more hurting. Oh, but you may feel a little sick. Oh, can you stand up? I do believe it's working. Good. That'll keep you going for the show. Come on, it's time to go. There is no pain you are receiving. A distant ship smokes on the horizon. You are only coming through in waves. Your lips move, but I can't hear what you said. When I was a child, I had a feeling out of the corner of my eye. I turned to look and it was gone. I could not put my finger on it. Now the dream is gone, the child is grown. I have become comfortably numb.
Thank you. That was not planned until I got here, and we got to talking. And I said, have you ever played Comfortably Numb in church before? Have you? No. And I said, can you play it? Obviously he can. And you're probably or maybe wondering why. Why that? How many of you have never heard that song before? Okay, a few of you. How many of you know what album? What am I doing? Okay.
Thank you.
How's that? Better? All right. How many of you know what album that's from?
Pink Floyd, The Wall.
Pink Floyd, The Wall. Pink Floyd The Wall is a double album. The reason it was made is because Roger Waters, the guitarist and one of the singers in the band, they had become popular. They had become internationally popular. They were playing, I think, in Canada at a concert, and he was playing this song for the 1,000th time. And a fan came up on stage and rushed him, and Waters said, all of a sudden I found myself hating the guts of all my fans. And I spit in his face and kicked him off the stage. After that, he went home and he contemplated what it was going on in his own consciousness that made him so sickened by the sycophants that were bowing at everything Pink Floyd did. And he began to get in touch with this inner conversation that was constant. It's in all of us. It's what makes us each unique individuals. Because 90% of the time, we are living alone in the privacy of our own conversations. Oftentimes, we don't even know that they're going on, but they are. Right now, it's going on. Every single one of you in this room is having your own internal conversation that is unique to you alone, and no one else knows it. We are all living secret lives, not because we're secretive, but because it's the nature of our existence as human beings. If we believe in a creator, then this creator has created us with the ability to live external lives where our consciousness seeps out a little bit, and we largely control it when we're around people. We shower, we shave, we say nice things for the most part. But internally, we are all screwed up. Do I hear an amen? Amen? All right. Now, the question is, for the New Thought movement in general, is this screwed up part of the purpose of being a human, or is there something wrong with me? My answer is both. There is something wrong with me, or I wouldn't be so troubled by some of this internal BS that goes on in my consciousness. But the question then this morning is there a purpose? Even if I'm troubled by it, is there a purpose to my being troubled by it? Question, is there a purpose to these inner conversations? Next slide, please. So I had a choice of at least two titles. One is the purpose of our inner conversations. The other is the divine genius of monkey mind. Because typically when you hear monkey mind, is that a positive or a negative idea? Negative. I'm suggesting that it is a negative idea, so I'm not contradicting that experience because it is often negative. But I'm also suggesting that it's very possibly positive in the sense that it's purposeful. Now, the core of this idea has to do with where our thoughts come from, where our emotions come from, where our judgments come from, where our perceptions, we all have different perceptions at any given moment. You take 70,000 people at a Seahawk game, all 70,000 of them are having perceptions and they're all unique. Even if the same stuff's going on for most of them. So where does all of this internal stuff come from, and why does this monkey mind, it's like leaping from branch to branch, you know that experience? You're going like, oh, I wonder what kind of day this is going to be. It's probably going to rain. Hell, I hate when it rains. God, when's it going to start sunshine? Come on. And then pretty soon you're thinking about what's on the news, starting with the weather. So we're all a little bit crazy. Next slide. So the general idea that I want to focus on this morning is that of transmission and reception. I want to look at the literal part of that for a moment, but the metaphysical or psychological part is each of us is in the process of receiving thoughts. Think of it that way. We're in the process of receiving emotions. We're receiving judgment. Sometimes that's the way it feels. You put your head on the pillow at night, you think, I'm going to have a good night's sleep, and all of a sudden finances jumps in the head. Or that doctor's blood test that's coming up that you're a little worried because the numbers aren't right. And you start thinking about that sort of thing. You all know what I'm talking about. Where does that reception come from? How's it getting in there to cause that insanity that goes on in our minds? So, The physical idea, we're going to take that first very quickly, just look at this slide. In 1837, the modern world really started with this notion of transmission and reception. 1837, the telegraph, Samuel Morse. There were some others involved in this, but suddenly they had the ability to send electrons through wires across the entire continent within seconds to give alphabet and words and language and expression. This is called transmission and reception. Next one. 1876, the telephone was invented. Same idea. You have the idea of electrons basically somehow magically being moved from the sound of a voice going through a line across the country eventually. It doesn't really take off until the 1920s, but this is when it was started. And all of a sudden you can have the ideas and the emotions and the judgments of people clear around the world coming to you through a cell phone. In this room right now, you know how many voices are in this room potentially? You know how many voices are in this room? Millions! Right now. Where? When I was a kid, we had a neighbor who literally wore a tinfoil hat and said he could hear the voices in the air. They're in the air. The only thing is you need a cell phone. You need a device. You need a receiver to get those transmissions, but the transmissions are all around us. Magically, almost. Next slide. Radio, 1895. An Italian named Marconi came up with this notion that maybe we could bounce these electrons off of each other and create waves. And that these waves could be received somewhere, and this is how the radio was invented. Suddenly, you could send waves across the country as they're being received right now. If we had a flat screen TV in this room, let's go to the next slide, because we'll include television here. 1927, a guy named Farnsworth came up with this idea that not only can you transmit sound, you can transmit images. Isn't that remarkable? Do you ever think of that? If we could bring somebody from, let's say, the 1800s or the 1700s into this room right now, just snap our fingers, put a flat screen TV up there and have a news anchor on that television giving a report, and that person is sitting there looking at that little skinny TV on the wall and saying, how the hell did that big person get into that box? That's what it looks like. So this remarkable era of transmission and reception, most of us just take it for granted. It just happens. Now, I want to go to the next slide and transition from this literal to the more psychological. In 1898, at the Ingersoll lecture specifically focused on the topic of human immortality. William James, how many of you have heard of William James? How many of you have not? Those of you who have, who was he? Just about what? He's what? Father of modern American psychology. Probably the greatest psychologist America has ever produced. What else? He was not only a psychologist, what else was he? He was a philosopher. He not only thought about psyche, in fact, it's been said that all true psychologists are philosophers, really true psychologists, because philosophy, the love of wisdom and knowledge, comes from the psyche. William James stood up at this lecture, and he was a very well-known Harvard professor, and he stood up at this lecture, and he said to the people in this room, and there was hundreds of people there from Harvard and other Ivy League schools, many of them doctors and psychologists, people studying the medicine of 1898, and he said, I'm going to shock you this morning by saying that let me read what he said. My thesis now is this, that when we think of the law, this is a scientific law, that thought is the function of the brain. Does that make sense? How many of you would say thought is a function of the brain? Okay. James says, we are not required to think of productive function only. In other words, the standard view of the brain, and it still is to this day, even stronger than it was then, that the brain produces thought. You have thoughts because you have a brain. And the thoughts come from the brain, from neurons, moving through the eyes, the ears, the nose, the basic senses, sends up those little neural synaptic movements through the lines of the body and go to the brain and create images and scents and sounds. But do they produce internal crazy thoughts? That's the question. And today this is called the question of hard consciousness versus soft consciousness. Soft consciousness is, of course, the neurons work to produce images and awareness in us. We know that biologically to be the truth. But James goes on and says, not only are we required to think of productive function, that is, the neurons create our thoughts and emotions, he goes on and says, we are also entitled to consider the transmissive function of the brain. So he's saying maybe there's two functions of the brain. There's no reason there couldn't be. And he goes on in this long lecture to suggest that the brain might actually not only produce a certain kind of awareness that we all know about in our physiological world, but that as the ancients, up until really the 19th century, all people, all ancient texts believe the Hindu Mahabharata, including the Bhagavad Gita, the Bible, the Greek Iliad, Odyssey. You take any culture from Native American, Native African, Persian, Mesopotamian, Egyptian, hieroglyphs, whatever, any of those cultures, and if you would have asked them, and they would have understood the question, how is this information getting into our consciousness? They would have said, from the gods. Just everybody, it was common sense. And a whole philosophy called idealism is the notion that ideas come to us from the atmosphere. In fact, atmosphere comes from the Sanskrit Atman's sphere. The notion being that the sphere of the gods, or Atman, or soul, is constantly transmitting consciousness, and it is being received by the brain, and it is occurring within us as a certain kind of particular, unique, individual consciousness. Again, let me stress that everybody in this room right now is seeing some form of me, you would probably say what I was wearing and could describe that, and yet at the same time, each of you is having a different experience of this. Some of you are in another place altogether. Some of you are wondering what the hell he's getting at, and all these different individual experiences. So what I want to share this morning is to entertain the possibility, next slide please, that our inner lives may be not just coming from our inner neurons, but that our inner lives may be actually transmissions from what William James called the mother sea of consciousness, for lack of a better term. Hindus call it Brahman. Christians call it Yahweh. Muslims call it Allah. Many different names for it, but it is the mother sea of consciousness. And not only does it produce that intelligence and design that makes everything from subatomic particles to galaxies, it also infuses each of us with our own individually tailor-made insanities and our sanities. But most of us are not too concerned about the sane part of us. That's the way it ought to be. But many of us think we're really weird. In fact, it came up in our prayer circle this morning, the use of the word weird, and I was like, yay. We're all a little weird. And this is why Roger Waters did The Wall, because he came up to the wall and realized that something had encircled him and made him a peculiar man who was suddenly a multimillionaire, internationally famous, and he hated everybody around him. That is called the secret life of consciousness, and we all have some version of that. Now here's my idea. And I just did a class, a 4-week class on this, where we really went into it in some detail, because this is such a new idea that I think it takes layer after layer after layer before it really starts to sink in and we start to see how to use it in our daily lives. But Rumi, 13th century, he lived in 1200 AD, Persian poet, wrote this poem that essentially summarizes what I have just shared with you. All of the ancients knew this. We moderns typically do not. We think we're just uniquely, egoically crazy. It's coming from my ego. That poor little damn ego gets blamed for so much. Without us ever really asking the question, why was it given to us, even if it does produce that kind of consciousness? Why did that receiver get inserted in us? There's lots of reasons, but I'm going to suggest one of the reasons this morning is found in this poem, and that is that every single one of us is getting the kind of consciousness that each of us individually needs. That when I put my head on the pillow at night and I have my own anxieties, and you all have your own anxieties, I guarantee it. Our modern culture says if you have anxieties, we'll fix it by giving you some medicine. And I'm not opposed to that. I'm not a Scientologist, so don't worry about that. If you need your meds, take your meds. But I'm suggesting that there may be more going on here than medical problems. That those ideas that come to us may actually be purposeful. Very quickly, in the class I just did, we went through this with a fine-tooth comb over 4 weeks and looked at the different nuances in this. But I'm going to go through it because it summarizes this notion that Rumi is saying, if you could get this, you could get what's going on in your inner consciousness and start to see it as a spiritual practice. We're always trying to find the latest spiritual practice when it's living right in us. The spiritual practice is our anxiety, according to this. It is our depression. It is our sadness. It is all of this stuff we call darkness and malice and all the things that come up in this poem. These are, if I'm correct about this, the transmissions of you and I as each little individual radios or televisions that the channels are coming to us particularly tuned to your psychic station. Here's what Rumi says. This being human is a guest house, hotel. Each of us is a little hotel. Every morning, and you could put afternoon and evening, a new arrival. What kind of arrival, Rumi? A joy. Now, this is great because this is where most of us like to have these guests come in. When joy's knocking at our guest house door at night when we're lying in bed thinking, oh, what a wonderful day this was. We're like, come on in. Stay with me till I fall asleep. But then, damn, a joy, a depression, a meanness. Oh boy, if there's any culture that needed to hear about meanness going on right now all through our culture, I'm not talking about left or right, I'm talking about the culture in general, is filled with a kind of meanness. And of course, it's their fault. Well, this is saying, of course there's external sources that can be blamed, but ultimately the spiritual practice takes place where? The guest that comes into my house. A joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness, consciousness comes as an unexpected visitor. So in this view, when I'm lying there or sitting there, driving along, having a happy day, and all of a sudden the anxiety hits me about money or health or relationships or politics or whatever it happens to be, the anxiety hits me. It's called a what? An unexpected visitor. Well, what the hell do I do with it? I take some meds. I go home and I smoke a little crack or I get a little marijuana. I'm a recovering alcoholic, and I've been sober for over 20 years now, but there was a time when my solution was to drink. It didn't have to be a lot either, just a couple of drinks, and I was adjusted. Come on in. Rumi goes on, welcome and entertain most of them. Oh, wait, no, them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows, damn. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows who violently sweep your house empty of its furniture. Think of that metaphor. What if these transmissions that come with the negative experiences are actually coming to rearrange the furniture in my psyche? This is the image of a butterfly or a caterpillar that is crawling along the branch and suddenly spins a little cocoon thinking, I'm going to build a little house and go inside and dwell in my cozy little house. But suddenly the little caterpillar discovers once it gets in its house, what happens? It starts to melt. And imagine if it had personality, it's lying there in bed melting thinking, what the hell is wrong with me? My relationship is dying. I've lost this family member that was so precious to me. All these problems going on in my life, I'm melting. It's funny and it's not. It's tragic. It's traumatic. Treat each guest honorably, it says, as you're melting. That's what depression does to us. That's what anxiety does to us. It's what fear does to us. And this is not saying to dwell in fear and anxiety and depression, but it's saying that it is purposefully transmitted into your unique consciousness because the form of depression you're having is unique only to you. Now, broadly, you can speak of universal depression. We all know that generally, archetypally. But individually, it is your unique experience of depression. You could never articulate it to a therapist if you spent the rest of your life talking about it. You cannot put it into words completely. You can't write it out in poetry, although that's a good way to start. But it's your unique dissolution through emotion. He goes on, he may be this visitor, this thought, this emotion, this judgment, this perception, may be clearing you out for some new delight. I've often thought the New Thought movement should also be called the New Delight movement. Because new thoughts create new delights. But new thoughts don't typically go away unless the old thoughts are dissolved. And this is suggesting that our depressions, anxieties, our meanness, our dark thoughts, these things that we call negative experiences, are sent to us to dissolve those old thoughts so new thoughts can come. This is where Carl Jung, and if we had time, we would look at Carl Jung's practice of active imagination, where he actually went in and had conversations with these. And I'll leave you with this morning before I finish this little poem here. The solution is, simply put, is when you're having that visitor, let's call it depression, you stop, you step back in your mind, and you say, who are you? And let it answer. Just shut up. Let it answer. And then when it tells you who it is, and it could give you a picture, if you're an artist, draw it. If you're a poet, write it. If you're none of the above, just listen to it. Who are you? And then the next question is, what do you want me to know? Because these things, these visitors in this view, if it's true, these negative emotions are teachers. I could give you 1,000 examples, and you probably already have some. These are best seen in the rearview mirror of life. When you look back on that shit you went through that traumatized you to the point you didn't think you even wanted to wake up in the morning, 10 years later you look back and go, thank God that happened to me. It gave me a life that cleared out the old furniture and gave me some new delight. Then he goes on and says, the dark thought, the shame. Oh, even my shame? The malice. Meet them at the door with a sense of humor. In other words, don't get so caught up in these negative emotions. I'm depressed. I'm a funny little guy. I say that to my wife sometimes. And she would tell you, yeah, you are. Meet them at the door laughing and invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. What a way to close. The transmitter, the receiver. In a sense, each of us is a receiver, And the world of psyche, or the mother sea of consciousness, is transmitting to each of us individually experiences that are going to create the new self. Bless you. Let's just take a moment and do a little prayer here as we close. Take a breath. Spirit, Infinite One, Mother Sea of Consciousness, help each of us, help me to see that when my insanities kick in, that there is something more going on than just my pain. I'm not minimizing pain. For God's sake, I'm not. But give us the ability to converse, to listen, to learn, to ask, to question, and to move through these experiences to the new delight. And so it is. Blessings. Thank you for letting me come share. Thank you for your song.
All right. Well, I had an idea about what I was going to do, and then you mentioned the whole thing about melting in the cocoon. So it gave me an idea, and this song has been on my heart, on my mind, ever since the turn of the year, really. And it's something that really has always spoken to me, but particularly now. So get ready, y'all, because I'm going to do a show tune. And I'm going to try to do it in the key I normally do it in. Something has changed within me. Something is not the same. I'm through with playing by the rules of someone else's game. Too late for second guessing. Too late to go back to sleep. It's time to trust my instincts, close my eyes and leap. It's time to try to find gravity. I think I'll try to find gravity. You can pull me down. I'm through accepting limits, 'cause someone says they're so. Some things I cannot change, but till I try, I'll never know. Too long I've been afraid of losing love. I guess I've lost. Well, if that's love, it comes at much too high a cost. I think I'll try to find gravity. Kiss me goodbye, I'm defying gravity. You can pull me down. And no one in all of us, no wizard that or ever was, is ever gonna bring me down. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The Wicked Witch was melting, and now she's fine. She's fine.
That's perfect. That's so good. Thank you. Thank you. All right. We have these little yellow prayer cards on your seats. Pen provided. For whatever that spoke to you in our service today, whatever is on your heart, however you want to express yourself, want support in, please write it down and allow the practitioners at Genesis to support you. If you're watching online, you can submit your prayer request through Genesis website, the genesiscsl.org. We can collect them from the website and pass them along to those practitioners. Okay, thank you. A little extra support in the background, too. Next, we have these handy-dandy envelopes. If you have a heart to, if it's on your heart to support Genesis, if you love what we do, if you love being a part of this community, if you want to see it thrive and grow, and you have a calling to contribute to that in a financial way, this is your opportunity. Go ahead and write your gift. For those of you who are online or even here, you can text your tithe to 206-800-7595. Or again, you can go to csl.org, genesiscsl.org, please. All right. Now, if you feel called to, if you will just hold your prayers and your offerings close to your heart, and we will say our offering prayer together. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive, and I am thankful. Gideon's going to come around and collect our prayers and offerings, and while he does that, we're going to sing Stepping into the Flow, guided by Tod Kimbro.
I'm stepping into the flow, giving and receiving the blessing that I know. I'm a part of something bigger in all of all I am. So grateful. I'm stepping into the flow. I'm stepping into the flow, giving and receiving the blessings that I know. I'm a part of something bigger in all of all I am. So grateful. I'm stepping into the flow.
I'm really grateful for the knowing that we have collectively initiated this law of circulation, that as we give, so shall we receive, pressed down, multiplied, and overflowing into our lives, into the life of Genesis, into our communities, and surrounding and blanketing the planet and back into our own experience. For this and so much more, I am grateful, and so it is. Thank you. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for giving your message today. It was just delightful. The insanity, I get to look at it in a new and delightful way. Please please join us for food and fellowship provided by,
God informed.
that's it. Today, after service, they have provided our goodies. I will be over here in the alcove if you want to have a quick bit of prayer support. And so I want to wish you a week filled with joy and love and an experience and an expression of your spiritual brilliance. May it be so. So it is. All right. Let's stand up and sing together our closing song by Release. Go forth with joy.